All right, guys, let's try this again. Third time's a charm. So basically, tonight I'm going to have Lee Priest on with me. He was on very briefly, and then it kind of timed out there for a second. But we were talking about how, Lee only talks about people that he likes. And a lot of people in the sport of bodybuilding, they just cannot really process that because a lot of people in bodybuilding have onion thin skin. And when you have onion thin skin, this is not the sport for you. Back on here because he's got another thing to do with Greg Valentino, and I want to make sure that we don't keep him too long. The app has been having issues, says John Mancini. Hey, what's
Hey,
up?
hey, back
Yep,
again.
back again. So we were talking about how Greg Valentino made the point to me
Yeah.
that you only talk about people that you like, and I was saying people in the sport of bodybuilding have very, very
Oh,
thin skin, and they can't like process that.
well, that's the thing in this sport. Even you just give someone a critique after a contest and they get bent out of shape. It's like, yes, we're all sensitive in your diet for a show and you want to do the best you can, but you still got to be a realist. It's like people try and come at me all the time with, "Oh, you're just upset because you never won the Olympia." I'm like, I knew I'd never win the Olympia. So if you watched all my videos, the Mitsuru videos, I'd always say, "Don't talk to me. I'm training for 7th place. I'm training for 6th place," because back then, if you got the top 10, you qualified for next year. So to me, I always set my sight on 10th place. And if I got 6th, like I did a couple of times, first time I got 5th, that's a bonus. So if I set my sight on number 10 and I get 7th or whatever, that's a bonus. So, I was always a realist in the sport, because I didn't have the 212 competing in the Open. To me, getting 5th at Olympia or 6th at Olympia in that lineup, for someone, like me, that was as good as a win. So never bothered me. But all these people today, I'm going to win this, I'm going to win that. It's like, how about you just go do your best and
Mhm.
whatever happens, happens. If you're in shape and the judges like you, they're going to give you a good placing. But yeah, people get so upset. They even get upset with other competitors. It's like, sadly now, look at John De La Rosa. He won the show and getting death threats and that. I'm like, come on. It's like,
Seriously, I didn't know
yeah,
that. That's crazy.
he did a post about it, and then I just watched him a bit on Fuad's today where he was getting death threats. And sadly, I don't want to say, what everyone's thinking. It is only a certain group of people that send out death threats when you beat them, i.e. when Derek beat Hardy at the Olympia, Derek got death threats. So I can understand why they're always at war in their country. They just can't fucking take anything, can they?
Right. No,
They want to fight
and
and kill.
and
They want to fight and kill everyone. Jesus Christ, it's a
I hope,
sport.
yeah, I hope Dave never got death threats because some years ago, I know that he got, they threatened to sue him. Somebody threatened to sue him, but it didn't happen. But when he was talking about Hadi and, some
Oh, yeah.
some odd looking delts and such,
Oh, they did. Yeah, I remember that when he said they would jimmy it up and that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
well, they did look like that, and like bodybuilders know. That's why when I used to take steroids and the needles, 2 weeks out, I wouldn't take any shots because once you're lean and you don't have any body fat, you have a needle, it's going to fucking, if it leaves a lump, when you're lean, that lump when you're on stage looks twice as big. So I
Mhm.
stopped all my needles 2 weeks out. I'm like, it's just not worth it because you can clean the area, you can do whatever, but still, when you're on stage, that one little bump looks like, oh shit, look at that.
Yeah,
So you can see them in the glutes, the shoulders. Most places people stick the needle. So yeah, so and they were even just talking about it. Most people talking about it and got death threats. I'm like, come on, people, don't take it so serious. Like in any sport, people get beaten on any given day.
yeah.
You're not always going to be the champ. It's like people get upset. Well, he won. It's like, yeah, everyone tries their best, but on any given day, someone's better. You just have to accept
Right.
it. But some people can't accept that. They're like, I should never be beat. I should always win. It's like, come on.
And you
Maybe
haven't
in
you
your
haven't
dreams,
called me Dookie yet. You got to call me Dookie
Dookie.
at some
Hey,
point. There you go.
Dookie.
There you go. But the thing I love that you used to say, and I think it's true, but people just don't want to believe it, is you used to say that the drug dealers used to hate you because you barely used anything. And
Well, that's
people
like I
assume
said,
that
Scott.
everybody's using
Yeah,
everything.
well, Scott back in the day, he even talked about it himself. I'm actually going for old RX things here. I was down to one in my old apartment. I know that's where the Dookie video was filmed, but yeah,
That was
but
classic with
yeah,
the bag. I love
yeah,
that.
but he tell people himself. Scott would tell people himself. He goes, I can tell you exactly now what Lee Priest was taking because I used to sell it to him. He goes, it was probably like I think for the Man, the Arnold and the San Francisco, all up, I got probably, it cost me like $1,800. That was just a couple of bottles of tests, some Winstrol, some Anadrol, stuff like that. So, yeah, but people get it so like, oh my God, oh, just
Yeah.
for one show. I'm like, the amounts that people take is just stupid anyway. It's like, you can't tell them. The young kids' fascination with Tren, it's like on my live yesterday, I said I only took Tren 4 times. The last time I was with Kathy, early 2000s, and it made me cough that bad. I got the worst pain in my chest, like I thought I was going to die. Like it just went super tight, and I'm gasping for air, needle hanging out my shoulder. I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm like, something that makes you feel that bad, why do you take it? And that's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, when I take Tren, I get angry. When I take Tren, I get this way. I can't sleep. I'm thinking, then why are you fucking taking it? If it gives you all these fucking problems, why do you take it? Go fucking do Dianabol. Go do Sus 250. Yeah, Tren might be a quick fix, but in the long run, anything you put into your body that makes you feel that bad, it'd be like saying, I'm allergic to peanuts. Every time I eat them, I go into shock. But I'm going
Right.
to keep fucking eating them.
Do you,
It's like, why?
yeah, do you feel that when you were in relationships, or do you feel like in general being two competitors being in a relationship pushes a competitor more? Like when you were with Kathy or with Adela, do you feel that
Yeah.
that pushed you more?
Yeah, I think so. Well, in the beginning, I thought, yeah, people say it must be hard, but actually, it's not. It's harder when one's in it and one isn't, because when one's in it and you're eating clean and the other person isn't, and they're still eating good food, you're sitting
Hmm.
there with your chicken breasts and rice. And I might looked over when I was with Tracy at the time, and Tracy might have a hamburger and fries, and you're like, oh, fuck. So when I was dieting, Kathy was dieting, it was good because, we were both eating clean food, so there was no bad food in the house. And I never got roid rage. To me, roid rage was just another made up thing. Look, if you're an asshole, you're an asshole. It's like people that drink. You get on alcohol, you can be a happy drunk, or you can get on alcohol, you want to fight everybody in the bar. It's the same with steroids. It's like, I used to get angry sometimes when I was on steroids, but it was because I was dieting and I didn't want to diet. I wanted to eat fucking McDonald's or KFC, but it was
Right.
never the steroids. So it's like, if roid rage was this big thing that they make it out to be, look at Golds back in the day, or look at any gym now. The amount of people on steroids, it'd be like a UFC fight every night if there was fucking roid rage, because the amount of people taking steroids in gyms, everyone would be fighting everybody.
Right. Do you think that the sport changed in the sense that, because I know earlier you said that you would go into a show like trying to get 10th, or not a show, the Olympia, but I
Mm-hmm,
mean, you look at, Derek's a 212 guy,
mm-hmm,
Hottie's a 212 guy, Bonac is a 212 guy. I mean,
mm-hmm.
people say Flex Lewis could have won it. You beat guys like Chris Cormier. I mean, you beat giants. So, I mean, do you think it was because you were so outspoken, or do you think that at that time, someone of your height weight would not have been able to win it?
Yeah, maybe being outspoken. People say, hey, Craig Elias, he's on here. There's a big guy. It's like,
He's huge. Yeah.
when I was like getting in trouble, probably, but then I won a few shows. So to me, like I said, competing with those guys, like on the European tour, I got third 3 or 4 times. The NASA Kevin, then it was me and Delet. So, like I said, competing with the open guys, because it was only the open, getting third to them guys, to me, it was just like a win.
Mhm.
They're always going to say, because maybe people said I should have won a few more shows, but maybe, yes, my mouth got me out of the top three. But, I was who I was, and I wasn't going to change anything to fit in. That wasn't me. It's like, I'm not going to kiss ass or go fucking guest pose at somebody's show to get in good with them and stuff like that, which a lot of people do. So I just marched to the beat of my own drum, and I was there for the fans. I wasn't there to impress the judges. I never once my whole career went and asked the judge, where do you think I should improve? It's like, what the fuck did I know? Half the judges are never trained.
Right.
Yes, they're hanging around sport, but a lot of the judges are more,
Yeah.
back in the day, were like more groupies and fans and anything else, and they'd bring their fans back, their family backstage. Can you get a photo with this person? Because they're like, I know such and such. I know Flex Wheeler. Come get a picture with him. We couldn't have anyone backstage to help us, but they could bring all their fucking cronies backstage and
Sure.
have shit with us. So I was happy. And like I know people got upset with me last year, because I said you don't really need a 212 class, because like you said, Hardy's winning. He was 212. Derek, even Sean Clarita, he's won open.
Yeah.
So there's so many guys. To me, it just makes you try harder. If you're giving someone a handicap, it's almost like, oh, wait a minute, you don't need to be that big and that whatever, because we've got a class for you. It'd be like the Olympic Games. To win a gold medal, you got to like run a 9 seconds, something like Usain Bolt. But if you can't do it, they're not going to say, wait a minute, we've got a 12-second class for you people who can't quite run that fast.
Right.
We're going to give you this one because maybe your legs aren't as long, you're not built for it, so we'll give you the fucking special classes. Like, we're just going to keep dumbing it down for the people who can't make it. The guys in the physique or classic, they would have went bodybuilding and would have done well, but now we've got this handicap class. We don't need to. And sadly, you know, they always say, we don't need to do the open. You got to put. I know so many guys in physique and classic that are taking more drugs than the fucking guys in the open.
Yeah.
So it's not a fucking health steroid thing. So, yeah, I know a few people have said, well, you know, if there's no 212, some people don't have a place to go. Listen, if you love bodybuilding and you love the sport, how many people quit because there's no 212 class when I was competing? No one. We just accepted. Every pro show's an open show. You ought to go and look in the best you can, and to be the best you can, you've got to train your ass off. If there was a 212 class, yeah, you'd still train hard, but if I'm just competing against people my size, it's not like I really got to go balls to the wall, because I got to, if you're standing beside Dillette or Dorian or Nasser, you've really got to stand out. So you're going to push yourself even harder.
Right.
You know, you're only going to push yourself as hard as your competition. So I think getting away with the 212 class, no one's going to quit the sport. And I'm sorry, the facts are, if you're not good enough to stand in an open bodybuilding stage, you're not good enough to be pro. And that's where now they're giving out so many pro cards, because so many people are competing. Oh, we've got a class for you. Here's this. It's like, no. And then that's the thing, like, you're not going to quit. Because like I said, if you love the sport, you've got a passion for it, you're going to keep training your ass off till you finally do place in an open or stuff like that. But it's not just like, oh, I can't do it, I'm going to quit. These guys are bigger than me. Like, Derek would never have quit.
No.
Hardy would never have quit. None of the Sean Clarita wouldn't have quit. They would have kept training until they did well in the open, and they would have, and they've proved that.
Yeah. And I was going to ask him about that, but before I do, I love the fact that you mentioned Sean Clarita, because that's the extreme of the light. And he was able to win at the Reno Sports Festival and other
Exactly.
shows. And then you look at like Lee Labrada, who I don't think was ever 200 pounds, and he was pushing
No.
Haney. So, I mean, you know, but going back to your outspokenness too, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass here, but this is historical fact. You didn't just talk, you actually dug into your pocket. You actually put your money for prize money, which I don't think anybody else ever did. But the idea of going to the Olympia, you know, you're in the Super Bowl of bodybuilding and walking away with nothing in your pocket is crazy.
And that's what annoyed me, because I know the year before Milos tried it, and that's when Wayne said put it in writing. So I figured if I bring it up, he's going to bring up put it in writing. So that's why I had that. You can see the press conference on YouTube when he said that. I said, oh, as a matter of fact, here you go. I put it in writing. And then Kerry Kayes and that, I think is with Dory Nutrition at the time, whatever, they put up $2,000, which, you know, okay, it's not a lot, but at least $2,000 is something. You know, out of the top 10, at least you get 2,000. You're in Vegas, go have a nice dinner, or buy your wife a gift, or girlfriend a gift, or boyfriend a gift these days. Who fucking knows? But, you know, just enjoy yourself. And, yeah, when I did that, people were like, oh, Lee, why'd you do that for? You know, and the thing was, too, over the years, people said, Lee, why don't you keep your mouth shut? You know, because back then, you know, I was with MD, I was with Twin Lab and Pro Lab and that. So back then, I was probably making 18,000 a month or something just from contracts. So I could have kept my mouth shut. I was making good money. But I said, it's not about that. It's like the guys at the top who are making the money have to stand up for the guys at the bottom, because they're training just as fucking hard. Okay, they might miss their peak here and there, because you're always going to have the elite ones who always rise to the top. But still, the guys at the Olympia who come 15th, 14th, I'm sure they train just as hard as I did. So why should they get no money? And that's why I've always said, like the Ronnies, the Jays, all these people should have stood up. But everyone always tells me, oh, Lee, if I say anything, I'll get in trouble. I'm like, how? I said, if we all stand together, what trouble can we get in? Because, you know, with me, I tell the story about at the 2002 San Francisco, I did an article in MD, of course, and it was about the politics in the sport, because back then some female judges were sleeping with competitors, and I knew about it because one of the judges used to date one of my training partners, and she's like, I don't care how he looks. Whenever he's in a show, I always put him first because he's cute, and because she was sleeping with him at the time and stuff. So this article comes out. Kathy and I get to the press, you know, the athletes meeting the night before the show. I'm always early, of course, so I get there early. Kathy's with me. Wayne comes in. He's got the book. He throws it in front of me. He goes, what's this article? I'm like, oh, that. I said, oh, it's just an article. They asked me questions. Well, why'd you say that? I said, well, it happens, doesn't it? He's like, yeah. I said, well, you're at the head of it. If you know someone's sleeping with competitors, they shouldn't be on the judging panel. And we got into this big heated, yelling back and forth. And then the other competitors started coming in, so everything just quietened down. I said to Kathy, oh shit, I'm fucked tomorrow. After that argument, I said,
Yeah.
what's the point of competing? But, you know, I went on stage and so many call outs with me, Chris and Dexter. I ended up winning the show. And when I was backstage, Wayne come over, he's like, so how do you feel on that? I said, well, to be honest, after our argument last night, I thought I wouldn't even place. And Wayne's like, nah, there he goes. He goes, I'll judge, and, you know, fair's fair. If you're the best on the day, you still win. It goes, but in the article, you ask why I do what I do. He goes, I'll tell you why, because somebody like you might stand up and say something. He goes, say there's 100 guys, you stand up and say something. He goes, I'll suspend you and fine you and do whatever. And the other 99 guys are going to do what I say. So that's why I do what I do. So I figured, oh, even though he's a dick, I've got to give him respect for being honest.
Right. No, for sure. And it's funny too because you were on top, and I think that was, if people watch that video that we're talking about, there's just it's a nugget, and you see guys like Sean Ray and Bob Ciccarillo, who at the time I think were a little dangerous because you guys were all pretty much saying the same thing, but guys like
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie was like, I took
Yeah.
all these bad placings, now I'm on top, and it's like I
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
hard to get those guys on top to actually care, and you did. So
I
that's
know, and that's the thing too. You have to look out for each other because we're all into sport. We all want the sport to grow. And the way to make it grow is, yeah, of course, you know, you throw money at anything, it seems to be like, that's why I'm not surprised the IFBB doesn't have someone like a Jerry Maguire type person who just goes knocking on doors, kicking on doors to get sponsorships. Like, think outside the box.
Mhm.
Yes, it's good to have all the supplement companies and everything, but why can't you go to someone like Chevrolet or Ford or, you know, they have muscle cars, whether it be Chris Bumstead in the new Corvette. I'm sure they could do ads with guys in from physique. You know, they just want that nice physique,
Mhm.
muscle cars. But there's so many companies out there. If you pick like 5 companies, even fucking something like Red Bull, what doesn't fucking Red Bull sponsor?
Right.
I see them on TV sponsoring billy cart races down the hill, people
Yeah.
jumping off the pier in the water to see how far they can fly. I think in every extreme sport they sponsor, why not bodybuilding? And I think if you had someone who was with the tenacity to just keep banging on doors, out of 5,000 companies, you might get 600, but 600 who could be Corvette, Audi, or whoever
Mhm.
who can put up good money. And it's like you said, these major sponsors, brands that are outside of bodybuilding that would bring more money in. And, you know, look at Kuwait, Dubai.
Yeah.
They're going to increase it to 500,000 next year. I think they'll probably be the first ones to hit 1 million. And when people see money involved with sports, for some reason, they're like, oh, must be a good sport. It must be worth doing. Because I remember back in the day sometimes when you'd say you're a professional bodybuilder, people look at you like, oh, what's that really involved? And you tell them, they're like, you get paid for that? It's like, back then you wouldn't want to tell them, oh, I'm only at the moment getting $2,000 a month. But then again, what about the pro athletes who don't make any money?
Right.
If you're a pro athlete and you go to compete in the show and you don't get $1, you've actually had to pay for your hotel, your
Yeah.
airfare. The guy that comes last in golf or something still gets over $100,000. So I think they need to look outside the box and just go for, like I said, just have someone who has the guts to just keep banging on doors to get sponsorships from anywhere. You know, just
Yeah.
don't always think muscle clothing, supplements. You know, it's always in that group. Go bigger. Go to fucking watch companies like S Force Watches sponsor a lot of the shows, and they've got a great watch and stuff. But
Mhm.
who knows? Go to Omega. Go to whoever. Just find like big companies because you're going to probably get a yes eventually, but you just need someone that has that tenacity to just keep. Yes, you're going to get a lot of no's, but just keep trying because look how many companies are in America, or even around the world, that
Sure.
would probably sign on. So I think they
And I
just need.
think I think sorry, and I think Paul Dillette was doing that with the WVFF.
Yeah,
He
yeah, he was.
was
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you know,
think I
he
think
didn't have
yeah, I
body
think in
initially, but
Canada, I think he had Audi didn't in the beginning, or he had like a
mhm.
couple of big car
Ford, I
companies that
think,
weren't.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. You got to do that, otherwise, just doing the same things. I know a lot of supplement companies, even back in the day, it would cost them a lot because by the time they gave away samples and gave away this and gave away that, and the price of some of the booths over 100,000 for your booth space at the Arnold or the Olympia, they actually lost money. That's why a lot of companies are like, well, is it really worth us going there to hand out shit now?
Yeah.
So, and then a lot of them said, a lot of them used to always say after the Arnold and the Olympia, sales were down because so many people would get that many samples. You'd see them every day with their big bags full. They take photos for Instagram. The hotel beds just covered in free samples. You'd be on the plane going home. They're trying to shove the big Muscle Tech bag in the overhead locker with all the fucking free samples in it.
Yeah.
So nobody would buy supplements for months. So all the companies went,
I don't don't remember where I saw this. It was like in the last few days. It might have been RX. It might have been, I don't know where I saw it, but those man purses that people used to have. I think Ronnie still has one.
Uh,
I used to think I used to think that was drugs and shit, but it actually is nothing but straight up cash because
yeah,
everybody pays you in cash. You
yeah,
just
the
stuff it
old
in
bum,
there.
yeah, you had the man purse or the old bum bag, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's funny because that one year I was going to do the Arnold, and again I did an article. I just got second at the Ironman. I went to the Arnold thing, and I'm going to do good. And this woman from the Columbus Dispatch come up to me at the expo the day before the contest. It must have been the Friday,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Lee, what's this about the judges are going to get you?" I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Oh, it's just that the they have some prejudging Friday. Could have been the women or something." She goes, "Look behind the judges table, and they had this article, and they were talking about how they were going to make you pay for that." I'm like, "Really? Who was saying that?" She goes, "I was behind the judges." I'm like, so I gave this big article about politics and it's this and that. Saturday morning, Columbus Dispatch, there's a picture of me. Lee Priest says politics in the sport, blah, blah, blah. So then I'm like, oh, fuck. Then I'm like, well, fuck it then. If they're going to do that, I even send the article, what's the point of competing? So
Right.
Saturday morning, I'm at the expo, prejudging, must be getting ready. This official comes and goes, Wayne says you got to get backstage. I said, no, I'm not going to compete. He's like, but Wayne says you got to beat. I said, listen, a woman came and told me that the judges wanted to fucking screw me. So what's the point of me competing? So he goes back, sees Wayne, comes back. Wayne says, if you don't get there right now, you're going to fucking be this and be suspended and that. And I said, okay, tell her I'm not coming. So the lady comes now, the woman who did the article. She has a copy of the article to show me and that. I'm like, oh, that's good. I said, wait a minute. I said, would you be willing to give a sworn affidavit that you heard the judges saying that they were going to screw me? She's like, yeah, I'll do that. So this guy comes back again. Wayne wants you to come. I said, well, you go tell Wayne I got the woman from the Columbus Dispatch. If you go back to, oh, I'm sure newspapers have old articles. You probably find it in the files online, the whole article.
Yeah.
I said, she's going to give a sworn affidavit that she heard the judges saying they're going to fuck me and that, so why should I compete? He goes, okay. So he goes, he comes back and he goes, okay, Wayne says you don't have to compete.
Wow.
And the funny thing was, when I competed there the year before, I think I just got seventh out of the top six. I got $1,000. That weekend, because I didn't compete, I was at the expo all day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Every T-shirt, photo I had, I went home with 14,000 cash just from selling. So I made more money standing at the expo than competing on the
That's
stage.
crazy. So I have to ask, like back in the day, I don't think people realize how powerful Wayne D'Amelio was, and like a lot of people hated him. But
Mhm.
then you were like the star attraction for the PDI. You did the NOC
Yeah.
in New York and in Britain. How did
Mm-hmm.
that come about? Like
Well,
how did you go
it's just
from?
like Wayne was going to start that new thing because the IFBB originally, with the bloated stomach, said if anyone's got a bloated stomach, we're going to mark you down. You got to blame the judges for that. It's the same as women's bodybuilding. Once it started getting too far, the judges should have pulled it back in. If you're
Mhm.
going to say we're going to mark you down for a bloated stomach, then why keep giving the guys with bloated stomachs first place? If you give them fourth place and say it's because of your stomach, they might go, oh shit, I better bring it in a bit. That's why I pretty much say they started Classic, because you look back, Classic's what bodybuilding used to be when you had the Barry DeMays. Even Lee Haney had a nice Classic type physique, but he had the muscle. The
Mhm.
lad, as big as he was, still had the symmetry and stuff like that. So if they didn't let it get out of hand, they wouldn't have had to start Classic to begin
Right.
with. So same with women's bodybuilding. They told Kathy back in the day, you women are getting too big. You got to lose 20% of your muscle. So Kathy and a lot of girls did, but then they still placed the big girls over them. So they're like, we've done what you asked, but now you're still putting the big girls up there. And then I
Yeah.
said, they are the win shows, we've got to look like that. And then you go, oh, you're all getting too big. So like when Wayne started that, he was just going to go back to judging more symmetrical, get away from the bloated look. And
Mhm.
people are like, well, why would you leave the IFBB, Lee? I'm like, well, I've been at the IFBB now 15, coming on 16 years. Same contest, same judges, same competitors. It's almost like I need something new. And I'm like, well, the contests aren't on the same time as the IFBB show, so why can't I do them? So, of course, I go do it. Yeah, like I said, Wayne and I had our ups and downs, but to me, it's a contest where I can go make money doing what I do competing. So I went to compete, then you're suspended for competing in a different organisation. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I pay you $275 a year for my pro card. You don't pay me. It'd be different if the IFBB was giving me a monthly salary. But in the contract, it says you are an independent contractor.
Right.
That'd be like me being a plumber doing the plumbing here, and I go to do the plumbing on my neighbour's house. You go, you can't do that. Why are you going over there? It's like, well, it's my job. That's how I make money.
Right.
So I got suspended. They said if I didn't go to England, I'd only make it a 1 year, but I went to England. I said, look, they've already sold tickets. They said, I'm coming. I'm not going to let the fans down. So I went to England and competed. So I got a 2 year suspension, and then it rolled on to you're suspended for life, even though Bob's like, we didn't do that. It's like, yes, you did. I even got the letter. I don't have it now. Even Wayne's, Bob said once, well, show us the letter. I'm like, this was back in 2006, Bob. I don't have the email from
Right.
2006. So, yeah, but, in all honesty, he says, well, the organisation now has it. Yes, because, they split. Raphael went this way, Jim
Right.
went that way. So, in all theory, the new organisation, no, has not suspended me, but the old one was for life, because I was even meant to go to Sweden, I think it was, or Switzerland for an appearance, and that the flight was paid for, tickets, everything. About 2 weeks before I had to go, to promoters like, Lee, I can't bring you. I just got told if I bring you because you're a suspended athlete, I'm going to lose my IFBB sanction and all my athletes will be suspended. Even when I went to England in 2013, after I won the Universe, my friend Aaron took me over there, and I did this tour for 2 weeks. Say I think I had like 8 or 9 gyms. 3 of them pulled out because they were run by UK BFF judges. So Bill Tierney from England, who runs the IFBB or UK IFBB over there, told him if you have Lee Priest at your gym, you're done. None of your competitors will play. So a few of them pulled out. I'm thinking, this is almost 7 years later and you still haven't got over it. They're like, Lee's not shouldn't be at the gym. I'm like, Lee's just a normal bodybuilder. I'm not IFBB. I'm not NABBA. Just because I
Yeah.
won the NABBA universes. But yeah, they stopped me going to a few gyms. Had a big argument with Bill Tierney on the
Hmm.
phone. Dean Lassick from England, he was a competitor. He could have turned pro. He used to compete with Nathan. Nathan turned pro. He missed out, but fantastic physique. He put up a photo out to dinner. Simon Fan had me, and they told Simon too, you have Lee Priest at your gym, Ultimate Fitness in Birmingham. You can't put on the
Yeah.
pro show anymore. Simon's like, I don't give a fuck. The pro show cost me money. I'm happy to give it up. Lee's a friend of mine. So we all went out for dinner. Dean posted a picture. He got a phone call. How dare you put up that picture with Lee Priest and that? Well, I won't say his name so they keep him out of trouble. Let's just say a good friend of mine who's competed in the 212. He did an article once, a while ago, and he was in Australia visiting. I went to see him, and he's like, "Oh, Lee, that article I done, I got in trouble." I said, "Why?" He goes, "He just simply said in the article, I wish Lee Priest was in the 212. It would have been an honour to compete with him and that." He
Wow.
got
I
a
can
he
only
got a
imagine who
phone
that
he got a
was.
phone call from one of the higher uppers. Never mentioned fucking Lee Priest's name in an article and blah blah blah. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you people so upset? It's like, I never attacked anyone personally. I attacked the organisation on the way they treated athletes. And it could have been something as simple as not having water backstage. And people go, well, water backstage, that's nothing. Who cares? It's like, yeah, it's nothing to the average person. But when you're dieted down, your fucking nerves are on edge, you're fucking thinking about the contest. If you do well, will I get re-signed? You got all this shit happening. A bottle of water sometimes when you're dehydrated is a big issue.
Yeah.
So, and I was never rude about it. I just brought up topics that, look, I understand promoters have to make money, but so do the people who are putting their lives on the line and making you the money. At least treat them a bit better too. They're not just fucking cattle. So,
Hmm.
but yet all the athletes would agree with what I said. But I'm like, why don't you stand up? And they never did. So it's just sad that egos would get in the way, because I've never had ego. No, people say, oh, Lee's got an ego. I never have. To me, I'm still Lee. Again,
Right.
and back, like the other day, someone come up to me when I was out. Oh my God, you're Lee Priest. You know, I'm like, I'm just Lee. I don't get the whole.
Yeah.
Okay, if I've
Don't
inspired.
hyperventilate. Yeah.
No, it's like if I've inspired you to do something or do whatever, that's great. But to me, I'm still Lee. It's like you could be a great plumber.
Right.
Okay, I was a great pro bodybuilder. You're a great plumber. Am I any better than you? No, you're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do.
Right.
And I hate when bodybuilders or actors or anyone gets that ego because they got money and stuff. I said, we're all the same. We're all good at something. Just because we're in different fields doesn't make me better than anybody else. So I don't get that whole where some people let it get to their head. Yeah, I'm such and such. I'm like, fuck off, mate. You're a pro bodybuilder. You lift weights. Get a fucking grip on life.
Yeah, no, and I gotta tell you, like, I was Mr. like, organization a few years ago, and now, I mean, there's phone calls that are made. Like, it's one thing if you're flirty on Instagram, fine, whatever, say whatever you want, but for me to have somebody on Instagram Live, for example, like I have you,
Mm-hmm.
and for that person to get a phone call and them say, don't do it, you're not allowed to do it. And it's worse because you're dealing with an amateur athlete that's not even winning prize money,
Yeah.
right? And then and then it's like, I got a phone call, I can't do it, I'm sorry.
You know,
Or a gym says, come do a video of our gym and promote it on all your platforms. Oh, you know what? Actually, I can pay you, but you can't come because I got a phone call. And it's not like the name that everyone knows, the family name. It's
mm,
not them. It's somebody else. I don't want to say, but somebody high up. And
yeah.
you piss somebody off, and it's just like, you
Yeah,
just
it's crazy because, like I said, we're all so much independent contractors that
yeah.
if someone can make money, that's why when I'd argued with them too, I said, how does me competing back then in the PDI hurt the
It
IFBB?
doesn't. Yeah.
The show's a month before the Olympia, so I'm going to be in shape. Why can't I do both? I'm an independent contractor. And back then, we know there's bodybuilders doing all types of things for money, whether it be
Mm.
gay for pay,
Yeah.
selling drugs, other weird shit that if you Google, let's just say, Mum, I want to be a pro bodybuilder. Who do you like? I like this guy. Let's Google him. Oh my God. Oh, what's that video? What's he doing there?
Yeah.
Let's Google Lee Priest. Oh, he's competing. He's competing. So I was like, which looks worse? Me doing something sexual online and I'm an
Right.
IFBB athlete, or me competing? So I couldn't understand how by me competing somewhere else was the number one rule that you broke. That's like, oh, out of all the rules. It's like, come on.
But I think it comes down to control. Ultimately, is what it is.
It
It's the
does. It does.
control to.
They want a monopoly on it, and that's what we'd have wanted back in the day. I know Arnold now, they've increased the prize money, but back then, I talked to Arnold in the gym, and out of respect for Weeder and that, he kept the Olympia the highest prize money show, but now Weeder's passed on. He's like finally decided, hey, why can't I increase my prize money now, which is great. And I think all shows should be doing that because they had there's rumours back in the day when Sean got caught in the drug testing, there was rumours that was maybe done because Nike was looking at bodybuilding and stuff like that. They're looking at Sean to maybe do some contracts and maybe get into the shoe for bodybuilding and weightlifting. That rumor was that we'd have heard about that, thinking, well, shit, I give out 60,000 a year, and Nike comes along and gives out 200,000 or more.
Yeah.
People are like, we don't need you. So he comes up dirty in the drug test. Reebok's like, oh, we don't want nothing to do with you people anymore.
Yeah, but it's interesting when you fight back like you with the dispatch affidavit and that sort of thing. Because like Sean accepted the DQ and then he came back the next year and
Mm.
won it. But I heard a rumor, I don't know which show, but I heard a rumor they tried to pull that show with Jay Cutler and he threatened
Yeah,
to
well,
sue
that's
them
true. Yeah,
and they didn't
Jay.
do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because Jay said, "I'll take you to court," and that. Yeah, and it all of a sudden went.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
sometimes fighting is the answer. But I know you've got to go soon, so I just want to ask you a couple really quick ones.
yeah, right.
Um, from a business standpoint, because there's a lot of these, there's a lot of competitors that have big social media followings, and I want to ask you a little
Mm-hmm,
bit about the business side, especially someone like Sam Sulek that doesn't even compete. But
mm-hmm.
before I ask you that, one thing that I always thought was interesting reading, like, your articles and reading like articles about you is the fact that I don't want to like stir up anything, but all over
Yeah.
the world, you were getting top money. Everybody wanted you on their stages at their expos, but in your own country, like they lowballed you.
I never got invited to any shows
Oh,
here, even when I
really?
was even when I was suspended. I think even Tony did admit to it too, back in the day, because somebody asked him on a podcast that when I was suspended. Look, I'd known Tony since I was a teenager, competed in his shows, thought we were good friends and that. When I was in the IFBB and doing his shows, always get calls, go to his gym and that. When I was suspended, I couldn't go to an
Hmm.
IFBB show. They wouldn't even let me into an expo. I was like, whatever. And then when they split, and Raphael goes this way and Mannion NPC IFBB goes this way with Tony Doherty, my phone rings one day and I'm like, oh shit, Tony Doherty, it's been like 7-8 years.
Hmm.
I'm like, hey, you going good? I just want you to know, since the IFBB is split now from such and such, you can come to my shows and that. I'm like, well, why couldn't they come before? Well, you know how it is. I'm like, no, I don't know how it is. I thought we were mates. I said,
Yeah.
even if I'm suspended, you couldn't call or send a text. How would the IFBB know that you were talking to me, but you just fucking cut me out altogether? So a lot of the times now I don't go to any of the shows because I'm like, you fucked me over and didn't want me there before. Why the fuck should I come now? It's
Yeah.
like, so I just,
And it's crazy. I mean, I know because I've experienced it, but just, you know, and with me, it was, I was only involved for like 4 or 5 years in that like particular group. But you, like, since you were a teenager, and all of a sudden, you know, it just goes, you know, it's like it's like night and day. If you're on
Hmm.
outs, nobody will look at you.
I know, and that's a silly thing. I even like, well, Greg would tell the story too. You know, when I was suspended, and Steve finally got rid of me. He was out for dinner with Steve, and Steve was saying, you know, I don't want to get rid of Lee, but they've told me I got to get rid of him. I'm thinking, wait a minute, Steve, you own MD. You give all these athletes and the contest publicity and stuff like that. You sponsor shows, and I knew that was the downfall because in the beginning, Steve would never sponsor a show because he said that way, if he does articles, he can be non-biased. He doesn't have to be up their ass going, "What a great show," you know. Because John and Dave would give their critiques, and sometimes they'd get mad because they'd say this was a shit Olympia. And Rob and Chang, remember, they lost their press passes and stuff because they said what a shit show it was, which was true. But then
Yeah,
once they started sponsoring the shows, MD, I'm thinking, oh fuck, they got their hooks in now. But I still can't understand whether it's the supplement company, MD, when the IPB says to you, you can't sponsor Lee Priest, to me, it'd be like, wait a minute, he's our athlete. The only
right.
one who had my back in the day was Black Skull, because they tried to tell Black Skull you can't have Lee at the Arnold in Brazil and this and that. They're like, wait a minute, we're the major sponsor. We're given so many $100,000. We'll have fucking Lee Priest there, which is how it should be. If I'm giving you money to run your show and for prize money, you can't tell me what athlete I can fucking have and can't have. It's like,
Yeah.
but Steve and them, like you said to Greg, I didn't want to, but I had to get rid of Lee because of the IFBB. And I'm thinking, who are they to dictate to you who you can sponsor and fucking, you know? And it's like,
It's crazy. It's so crazy. But like, for example, like someone like, and I'm sorry, but like someone like Sam
yeah,
Sulek, right?
mm-hmm,
Huge following, doesn't compete. You know, we've heard rumors. I've got nothing against Fuad personally,
yeah,
but we've heard things that maybe his contract wasn't so huge or whatever. But that's really his own fault because he probably didn't
yeah.
negotiate
No,
more.
that's it. You read the contract, you know what's in it, you know what you got to, you know what your duties are, and it's like thing too. Yes, in the beginning he was pretty popular, but then with Fuad he got more popular.
Mhm.
So, but it doesn't matter. You could say I signed with Fuad or Muscle Tech or whoever for 4,000, and maybe 8 months later you might be worth 10,000 now, but it's too late. You still got a contract. You got to ride that contract out, and then when it's
Right.
up, then go negotiate again or go to another company. Yeah, but yeah, people like that, because back in the day, people always said, too, what was the difference? Yes, I think you look at the lineups back then, the Olympians, and that from first to second, you're like, wow, it's like anyone could have won. There was such a big, vast lineup. And I just think, too, we're a little bit more hungry. Yes, look, don't get me wrong. Guys today, they train hard, they diet hard, but I think they're just missing that little bit of, okay, if I don't do too well at this show, I've got YouTube, I've got this, I got that, I can still make income to survive. But generally back then, all we had was contracts. And if you didn't do well in your show, some contracts were 2 years. If you're lucky, some were 1 year. So when your contracts get near the end and you've got to compete, you're like, fuck, if I don't look good, they're going to drop me or I got to do this. So you compete like your life depended on it, because the better you looked, you'd get a better contract. You look good, you get covers of magazines, you get articles in magazines, and you don't have the magazines anymore. So I think we just strive that little bit harder, which could have been the difference in, like, you know, a lot of guys conditioning back then, because you had to be the best of the best, like I said, just to get on the cover of a magazine and stuff like that. But now, shit, anyone can post their pictures online because there are no magazines and stuff like that. So I think that little bit of hunger, even though the guys still train hard and do it today, if they were fighting for contracts and to get into magazines and there was no making money online, I think we'd see their physiques a little bit different still.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Lee, I really want to thank you. I know you've got to do something with Greg here soon,
And
and
it's
I mean this has
okay.
been great. And you just keep reinventing yourself. I mean, you know, with John, with the VPX, and then with honestly, I didn't I did for some reason I didn't see you and Palumbo meshing. Not because I mean Dave's a great guy, you're a great guy. I just didn't, and you guys are perfect together. I mean, you
That's the
guys.
thing is, like,
I mean, and sometimes
you
it's
watch
just the two of
Dave,
you.
yeah, you watch Dave and I too. And that's the thing. I know there's a couple of people on the show who can't take jokes on the show, but you know, Dave and I, Greg, we all put shit on each other when we were in Alabama. That's what we did. And like I
Yeah.
said, if you can't put shit on your mates and friends, it's like, as you said, Joe Gold was like that. You knew Joe Gold liked you if he abused you. You know, it's
Right.
like if he gave you a stupid name or called you names, you're like, oh, he likes me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just how it is. Like the good thing about Joe Gold too was like the funny stories he used to tell me, and it's funny because I knew I was in with Joe Gold the day I did the Ironman, and I think I got second or third, and Joe was so pissed off. But I remember Eddie Giuliani coming up to me in the gym and goes, "Joe must like you." I said, "Why?" He goes, "He hasn't been to a bodybuilding show since Arnold, but he's coming to watch you." So
That's
just
awesome.
to get up, yeah, Joe to me was almost like my adopted grandfather. When he passed away, he left me his two dogs and stuff. So yeah, they were the good times back then. It's like, you sound like you're old harping back, but I just think back then, I think when things were more basic, it was better. Yes, there's internet and people do trolling and stuff, and I still don't understand that because it's like, if you don't like me, why follow me? Yeah, it's
Right.
fun to, because like I said, I'll even let people have fun because, like I said, I like banter. I'll go back and forth, but it gets a bit boring when it's just midget, tattoo face. You think it is. It's like, okay, now I might block you. They're like, why'd you block me? It's like, look, I don't mind having arguments, but if you just
Right.
keep saying the same shit, it gets
Yeah.
boring. It's like, come up with something new to abuse me with. So, like I said, I ran into someone in the store yesterday. Like, oh my God, Lee Priest, I see you on YouTube. He goes, do you like those YouTube videos? I said, no. I said, they fucking depress me. It's like, and I can see one now. It's like me at 20 training. I'm like, in my mind, because you remember it so vividly,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, feels like 7 years ago, but it's like 20 odd. I'm thinking, fuck, where does time go? So, to any young people listening, when your parents tell you, when you get older, time goes quicker, and you go, yeah, fuck off. It's true. Time does
Yeah.
go quicker when you get older. It's like a blink of an eye. I'm thinking, fuck. And then I see people now back at Gold's. I'm thinking, I remember walking through the door when I was 19, 20 at Gold's gym, 52 now. I'm thinking, where the fuck did those 30 odd years just blink
Yeah.
of an eye gone? It's
Definitely.
crazy.
How did you, I'm sorry, one more question. How did you actually discover bodybuilding? Because your mom competed too, right? Did
Well,
she
she
introduce you to
competed
it?
after me. I'd already
Oh,
been
okay.
competing. I'd already been competing from 13 to 17 when she
Okay.
decided to do it. But yeah, my grandfather was always weight training because he did wrestling in the army and he had a gym set at home. I think Rocky Four come out and I was doing karate at the time, and so I just had a gym set in my garage. I go out there doing those abs on the bench where you lower yourself up and down like
Mm,
Rocky did, just all basic stuff. But the main thing was, I never wanted to be a bodybuilder. I just wanted to look like He-Man because the He-Man cartoon was on. It's
mm,
like, oh, I love He-Man. The $6 million man was on TV. He's really strong. So that was it.
right.
And I just started training, and someone was like, oh, Lee, maybe you should think about competing. You've got a good little physique for 13. They got this schoolboys division under 18. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I just went from there. And even there, I just kept snowballing because I enjoyed it. It's like when I got the car racing. I only did it for fun, but I ended up doing that, winning races, won the championship. I find no matter what you do, any type of work, if you have fun doing it and enjoy it, you're going to excel at it because, it doesn't seem like work. If you're going, oh, fuck, I've got to go to work today. I hate the people I got to talk to. I hate this. You're going to be fucking miserable. So it's
Yeah.
always good to find a job or find a career or something if you can make money from doing it, but it doesn't seem like you're working, then it's all roses if that's the
Right.
case. And that's what you got to really look for rather than being dead end jobs. And another thing where people are in jobs or around people where they can't be themselves. Because my wife says it to me, oh, you're lucky. I said, why? She goes, I wish I could be like you because she works in customer service.
Mm,
I said, why can't you? She goes, oh, there's so many people I just like to tell off. She goes, you just tell people off and don't care. I said, well,
right.
I'm not really in a job where it bothers me. I do, but I could never be because I'm just the type of person where I'm not rude, but I don't like. That's why Wayne and I'll get into it sometimes because Wayne, anyone I find that talks down to someone, like belittles them or makes out like I'm better than you, I'm like, how are you better than me? You could be a millionaire, doesn't make you better than me because you got more money and stuff. So I just hate people that have that chip on their shoulder and stuff. So I'll just make fun of them and
Yeah.
do whatever. That's why I tell people just be yourself. Yes, people are going to like you, some not going to like you, but I don't like it when I got so many friends. Like if they're out with this group, they act this way to fit in with that group. If they go over here, now I've got to act a certain way so these people like me. I'm like, to me, that's just shitty. If you can't be yourself and just be open and be who you are, fuck hanging around those type of people. They're not your friends. Your
Yeah.
friends should be able to accept you for who you are and the way you are, whether you're fucking obnoxious, rude, whatever. It's like if that's who you are, don't change for anybody. Just be yourself and be happy.
No, absolutely. And I think the people that, I don't know, just my opinion, but the people that talk down, it's usually some sort of insecurity or
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to like level up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I met Tom Platz in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, and I thought Tom Platz was going to be unapproachable, like the nicest
Well,
guy
I
ever.
know.
And
And I said
I almost thought,
I trained with Tom for a year, and like
Yeah.
I said, just being around him, talking to him, he's got the time of day. He's honest. He'll chat your ear off. When
Yeah.
I used to train with him, I'm like, Tom, do a comeback. He's like, Lee, I couldn't. Because once he gets in that mode, even today when he trains, he just
Yeah.
goes fucking zones in. Like he's like on another level altogether. But remember the
Yeah.
first time I saw Tom, I was over here, I was 17. I just did the universe and placed second. That's where I met Milos for the first time in '89. And Tom, I saw this Porsche at the gym at Gold's. It had Ride Wind on the number plate. I'm like, Tom Platz poses to that song. Then all of a sudden, walking down the sidewalks, Tom Platz. I'm like, Mum, Tom Platz. He's getting close. Mum's like, say hello. I'm just like,
Like
hello.
frozen.
He's like, hello.
Yeah.
He's like, hello. And then he just walked past. I'm like, wow, Tom Platz said hello to me. I was too embarrassed. But I was always like that. Even when I go see pros, I'd always be really shy. I'm still shy now. People think, oh, I lead because I act a certain way online. But in person, if you say hello to me, I'll be like, hello. But if you don't keep talking, I'll just be like, and people go, well, he's arrogant. But it's just like, I'm just shy. I don't know what to talk about with someone. But if you keep talking to me, I'll keep talking. Then you probably
Yeah.
wish, fuck, the cunt won't shut up now. He just keeps going. But
Right.
I've always been that way, yeah. And when I saw Tom, I was just like, wow. Because back then, too, I remember the first pro show, Niagara Falls, when I got my pro card in '93 and did that show. I remember standing on stage, people like, oh, what's your first pro show? Like, I just remember being in awe because here I am from Australia, 19, just turned 20. I read all the magazines. Now I'm standing on a pro stage. I'm going, fuck, look at that. There's Mike Quinn, Jim Quinn. Fuck, there's
Holy
David
moly.
Durf. It's like I'm standing on stage looking at all these people I've been looking at in the magazines. I'm not even thinking I'm up here competing. I'm just like,
That's
wow,
wild.
that's such.
And and then you're in the magazine, so
Yeah,
that's like got to be really eye
yeah.
opening. Yeah.
I remember the first
So
time I got on I got on the covers of magazines when I was 15, 16 in Australia, but I remember the first one in America, I think it was Muscle Mag. Me and Laurie Donnelly, Irvin Gelb, took some photos and that. I remember, wow. And I did what other people did. You go to the news agent and you move all your covers to the front. Or when you go to buy it, you hope they notice you. Look at it.
right. That's amazing. And now that's lost, you know,
Yeah,
like you said, like now anybody can, you know, post on Instagram and that
yeah,
sort of thing, or, but you know, getting into the magazines, that was like a really,
yeah.
really big deal.
And I
So,
remember sometimes Bob Kennedy, if you're lucky, you get that pull out in Muscle Mag. You get the poster. You're like, wow, I got a poster. You know. I
that was a
remember
great
those.
magazine. And then he
Oh,
had reps and I mean, he was really, I
yeah.
think
And
like
they
the
were the good ones
alternative.
too. We had reps, and even the Muscle Mag was good. I used to like even remember the Steve Nice section in the back of the gossip that was happening at Gold's
Yeah.
and all those sort of things like that. They were always the good sections to read.
What were the cartoons that he had? Like the
Oh
muscle
yeah,
heads, right?
yeah. He did
Those are
one of
pretty
me in
good.
the cartoon as well. I wish I had kept that. You can probably Google them online, or maybe they still have them. I mean, you can get old things, but yeah, it's sad when Rob passed away because Robert Kennedy was a funny guy. I used to get on with him pretty good
Yeah.
too. Even when I was suspended, I got him a couple of times. Rob's like, "Ah, fuck them, Lee." He goes, "You're with me," and that. So he was like really funny about it. He didn't care. He goes,
I
said,
yeah, I think Robert Kennedy actually may have covered the PDI. I think
"Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
pretty
Yeah,
out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah."
Yeah. So,
And
all
he's
right,
like,
Lee.
it's my magazine. He goes, "They don't tell me what to do." And that was funny too. I remember once
Hmm.
when I was suspended. I was just talking to Arnold at one of the Arnold classes. I had a photo with him, and then all of a sudden, this woman out of nowhere comes up the next day. She's like, "Oh, Jim Lorimer wants to see you." I'm like, "What have I done now? Am I getting kicked out?"
Right.
So they took me up to his office above the expo and that. They're like, "How you going, Lee?" Good. Yeah, that's a shame you can't compete. And then I said, "Yeah, I'm suspended and that. I'm not allowed to do anything." And Jim's like, "It's okay, Lee. I like you. You can come to my shows any fucking time." This is
Nice.
Jim Lorimer. And then he actually gave me a nice that photo over here. This one, that one of me and Arnold.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, Jim Lorimer had that put on that nice wood thing for me and that and gave it to me when I was at the expo.
That's so cool. And people don't realize it, but like I think Jim Lorimer did like 95% of the work at the Arnold, right? I mean, that was like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy.
Because he lived there in Ohio and that, yeah, brought so much money into the city and that, yeah. So,
And that
yeah, so
and that's
it's good they have it there. I always figured now Jim Lorimer, because he's passed on, Arnold could move it somewhere, I guess, like Los Angeles or somewhere. But I guess for the economy in Columbus, Ohio, it brings so much money, and so they probably get good deals on hotels and stuff and that.
yeah,
So,
and I don't want to curse, but to be honest with you, Arnold doesn't give a fuck. I mean, like they don't. Nobody tells him what to do. I don't think the pro league or the other
yeah.
people like he just does whatever he
Mm-hmm.
wants. And actually, I don't know if Jake Wood's going to match him, but the way it's looking like next year, the Arnold is going to pay more than the Olympia, which is unheard
Yeah,
of.
well, it is. Yeah, well, it is. The Armour's going to be what 500,000. So that's why I'm waiting now because this is where it's good. It's like, okay, he's upped it. Now the Olympia, Jake, he's either going to go 600 or does he just put a rabbit out of the hat and go, fuck it, I'm not going 600 because
Right.
then you can go 7. I'm just going to go straight to 1,000,000. So if you want to match it now, you've got to do more. So I'll just shoot for the stars if I was Jake Wood and go 500. Okay, I'll go at least 750 or 1,000,000 just so, like I said, if you go 550, 600, I could go, well, 7. You know, they could do
Well,
back and
well,
just go to
let me
1,000,000.
yeah. Let me ask you this: what if he doesn't raise it though? What if he stays? What if the Arnold pays more?
Well, I've always said the Arnold was a better show, and Robin Shane hated me for that back in the day because, yes, the Olympia's got the name, but when you go to the Arnold, the different sports, the way you were treated, picked up at the airport, I mean, just the whole experience for an athlete was so much better. And I'd always say that. Shit, Tony Doherty shows in Australia were better because you'd come to Australia, he'd pick you up from the airport, his brother at the gym or whoever, his father at the gym, Tony himself would cook all the chicken breasts for the athletes so your food was taken care of. I mean, you're actually treated like a professional athlete, not just like, okay, off you go, see you at the show and make us money, you know. So those shows are always better than the Olympia. That's why it was so annoying when that's like when I stood up and just said, you call this the Super Bowl of bodybuilding? It's not the Super Bowl of
Yeah.
bodybuilding. As I said, it's the toilet bowl.
Right.
And the fucking Robin Shane got all upset.
Yeah. And I think, but I think that the Olympia's in a better place because I think when AMI had it, it was just
Mm-hmm.
like one
Yeah.
more venture,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have somebody that actually loves it, like Joe did, you know. And I
Yeah.
think,
And I
and
think
I
it
think
does.
it's really good for the
I even
women
think
too.
too now, even though Tyler's taken over with Jim, I think it's going in a good direction all around. You know,
Yeah.
I think shows are judged pretty fair. Look, you're never going to be happy. Someone's always going to think their guy should have won,
Right.
and some shows are close. So it's bodybuilding; it's subjective. So it's like, you know, just chill out, people. You know, not
Right.
everyone's going to win on every given day. Where you'd have like Ronnie. To me, it's great seeing Ronnie have the monopoly, Phil Heath. But you know, to be fair, everyone was sort of bored. It's like, oh fuck, he's going to win. Who's going to get second or third? It was like when I used to love Formula One,
Yeah.
but even though I love Schumacher back in the day, it'd get pretty boring when there's still 7 races to go and Schumacher's already won the championship. You're like, you know, who's going to get second or third? So I think it's
Right.
always
Well,
good. Like it's like this year's Olympia.
yeah.
You know, can Derek get repeat and get another one? Maybe. Can Hardy win? Yes. Could maybe Nick move up? Maybe. Could Samson maybe nail it and win? That's what makes it exciting because no one's really like slotted in. Whereas, like I said, with Ronnie, Dorian, Phil, okay, they're going to win it again. It's just like because they're almost that untouchable. Whereas, you know, Derek's great, Hardy's great, but yet a little bit of slip up, anyone could change places. So no one's like that dominant force like Ronnie was or Dorian or Phil Heath. They're great, but I just don't see that dominance where it's just like, no, it doesn't matter who comes in, they're not beating them. So, you know, because you knew if Ronnie come in shape or Phil come in shape, no one was going to touch him. So, but right now I think it's not like that. So it's good that it's up in the air. We could have a new champion again. So, you know, Brendan
Yeah.
Curry, past Mr. Olympia, is going to be there. So you're going to have, well, if Rami did show up, who knows? You'd have Rami, Brendan Curry, Derek, Hardy. You know, to have a few Mr. Olympias on the same stage again competing, so it makes it exciting.
Yeah. And I like when there's you know, new champions, and I'm not super opposed to multi-year winners. It's just that you know, when they have to kind of you know, like Dorian that last year. I mean,
Mm.
I even think Dorian
Yeah.
thought that Nas beat him that year,
I
and
think
then
NASA. Look, I think NASA should have picked him on that one. And the thing to me, I don't like is too. Hey Xavier, how you going there? It's like
he's amazing.
the thing I don't like too is when it is between a few people. Say it's like, yeah, okay, it's Samson, Hardy, Derek, and that's all they put on the poster, or that's all they talk about. It's like that to me. That's disrespectful to the other guys because it's bodybuilding. You could be talking about Samson, Hardy, Derek, but like I said, it all depends on how you look on that day. Okay,
Yeah.
going off past things, yeah, but on that day's when it counts. So to me, the Mr. Olympia poster maybe should just have the old last year's champion on it, or just nobody,
Mhm.
because when you start putting people on a poster and it's just like back in the day it was Phil and Kai or someone, that's what anyone talks about. That's all anyone's looking for. So
Right.
if you're not going to put everyone on there, just don't put anyone because to me it
Yeah.
shows bias. Just have last year's champions on the poster. But when you try and make it a match between 2 or 3 people, that's all anyone's talking about. Judges psychologically when they come on stage, that's who they're going to look at first and call them out. So, yeah.
Yeah, Xavier is amazing. I love desktop
I
bodybuilding
had
out of
I had
Australia.
Xavier on my live yesterday when I was dressed as Homelander.
Yeah, I saw, and I love. He's in a really good spot. I don't know that he will ever take out Nick Strength and Power. I don't know if he ever wants to do that, but he's in a really, really good niche. I mean, in a really, really good spot.
I think
He's
Xavier.
very honest
I
and.
like watching Xavier's better too with the interviews. Like Nick's Strength and Power is good. It was good even back in the day, but
Mhm.
to me, it's just like reporting on what's already been reported on.
Yeah,
Whereas Xavier will have people on, get Nathan on, and other people have discussions and stuff. So I think the channels are both different, but I think Xavier's channel is just a little bit more interesting rather than just someone rehashing. Be like reading the magazine. They're coming on and just me rereading what's in the magazine type thing. So I
yeah,
think everyone's going to find their niche in the sport, and people gravitate towards whatever.
sure.
Like I was just watching Fuad's podcast with Seth and Ian and them. That's like just a good round table. Just like listening to guys chat about shit. It's not all bodybuilding. It goes off into any direction, which I find people like. It's like when we used to do training videos, and I used to watch training videos of other people. To me, it got a bit boring. I used to like watching, like I said, the Battlefield Olympians, seeing them at home, what they do outside the gym. To me, that was more exciting,
Yeah,
seeing the everyday life rather. Because how many times can you watch a guy bench or barbell curl or squat? You're like, oh, fuck, here we go again. So people say, Lee, do an arm video now. I'm like, my arm video now would look exactly the same as when I was 20. It's just that I'm fucking older.
yeah.
It's just like it'd be the
That.
same exercises, exactly the same. So,
Mhm.
you know,
The only issue that I have with Xavier and desktop is that he got reported like I think it was like
oh,
2 or 3 months ago, and I'm thinking to myself, how stupid does a promoter have to be I mean, like these channels are covering your show.
mhm.
They're sending people to compete with you, and you're gonna
I
like
know.
report them to YouTube. I mean, it's like so
I
stupid.
know.
You know what I mean?
Especially
But
like I said, especially like bodybuilding. It's not like a huge sport like
yeah,
NFL or NBA and shit like that where you, oh my God, I can't believe you did that
yeah,
to us. It's like,
it
wait a
doesn't
minute.
make
It's
any
like even
sense.
Dave talked about it with some contest. They won't even let you film or take photos on your phone in there. It's like, why are
Yeah,
you stopping people doing that? It's promoting your show. The photos on
yeah.
the phones aren't anything like your professional photographers taking down the front. If a family
Hmm.
member wants to take a photo or video of their husband or boyfriend on stage and you
Right.
say, no, you get kicked out. I'm like, come on. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. No, that's wild. But listen, I would love to do this again at some point.
Yeah,
I
definitely. Definitely.
I had intended to keep you. I'll only do this for 30 minutes, but
Yeah,
I had
that's
a
okay.
blast.
We've got
Yeah,
lots more to talk about. Maybe you and I will go crash Xavier show. Xavier, you're going to
that'd be
have
fun.
Priest and the Dookie
The
on next.
Dookie. Yeah, there you go.
The
There you
Dookie.
go. There
I'm
you
going to
go.
find that fucking glag rap tape one.
All right. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. It's
I
good
really love
talking to
this.
you.
Likewise. Likewise. Take care.
Have a
All
good
right.
evening. Bye.
You too. Bye.